The most important question that you can ever ask yourself about life is whether it's worth it or not. It's not whether life is a product of consciousness or not. It's not whether we're in a dream or not. It's not whether we're in a simulation or not. Think of it this way. Do you prefer to watch a movie that someone has spoiled for you? In fact, do you prefer having someone spoil a movie for you before you watch it? Or do you prefer to actually watch it without having it being spoiled for you? I believe most people prefer to watch a movie that hasn't been spoiled for them, because that's what makes it really interesting. So the most important question is this life worth it? Are you guys familiar with spiral dynamics? It's a research that shows the development of the human psyche from the most basic stages to the most complex stages. I believe that antinatalism is on the last stage of spiral dynamics, which is called choral. I'm not saying antinatalists are on stage choral. I mean, the philosophy itself is on stage choral. I believe that when a human psyche has fully developed, it will actually make a person embrace antinatalism. You might find yourself believing or resonating with antinatalism even if you are on stage green. In fact, I think most antinatalists are on stage green. But some parts of you are on stage yellow. Some parts of you are on stage coral. Some parts of you are on are below that. It's how it works, but you are mostly on stage green. I believe that the most important question that you can ask yourself is whether life is worth it or not. And that's what humans have avoided since the beginning of time. They tend to give the power to decide whether this is worth it or not to nature, or to whatever God they believe in, or to the universe, depending on how they see the world, or depending on what stage of spiral dynamics they mostly identify with. They don't want to take power into their own hands. They don't trust themselves enough to make that decision. They don't trust themselves enough to decide whether it's worth it or not. It's like, no, God knows what it's doing, or the universe knows what it's doing. Why can't you be the one that decides whether it's worth it or not? Ain't you the one that is having the experience? Why should something outside of you decide for you whether it's worth it or not? A lot of spiritual gurus, people that we think are really enlightened, think this way. They think that we must give our power away. to the universe. We must let the universe decide, or we must let God decide, or God has all the answers. The truth is, you are the one that should have the answers. You are the one that should know what you want to experience, and whether the experience that you are having makes sense to you. You are what counts. You are experiencing the world from your perspective. Why should something else tell you what the truth is? You are the one that has to tell yourself what the truth is. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you reach higher levels of enlightenment, or when you reach the final stage of spiral dynamics, you actually realize that you are the one that has the power to decide. That's why I'm saying that antinatalism is on the last stage, because antinatalists are deciding whether this is worth it or not, and they're saying that no, it is not worth it, and they have very, very good reasons to think that it is not worth it. It's not like they've just been asked by someone, is life worth it or not, and they answered that question without giving it any real thought. They've actually went through a lot in this life. They've actually philosophized a lot about things and reached the conclusion that no, it is not worth it. I am not going to bring anyone else to experience this because it is not worth it. People who think that this is worth it don't have any reasons to believe that it is worth it. Have you guys noticed that? These are the people that have given the power away to the universe. Even if they're having the worst possible experiences, they'll be thinking, God knows what he's doing, or the universe knows what it's doing. The universe has my best interest. And they end up dying without rising to the highest stages of spiral dynamics, where they actually decide whether it's really worth it or not. So antinatalists are on that last stage because they are able to make that choice. They are able to decide whether it's worth it or not, and they have good reasons to support their decision. And I think that's a very important thing. As you grow from the first stage to the last, you must become confident enough to be able to make decisions. You must be confident enough to become your own God. You must be confident enough to know that you do actually have the right to decide whether something is good or not, or whether you like something or not. You are not supposed to live this life as if you are a victim. Yes, we didn't choose to be born, but we found ourselves here. So now we have decided that yes, even though we found ourselves here and we didn't choose to be here, but we are conscious, which is important. And because we are conscious, we are able to make choices. We are able to interpret what we are experiencing. We are able to decipher what we are experiencing. We are able to understand what we are experiencing, and we are able to decide what we need to attach our experiences to. We do have that power. We have reached that level of consciousness. We can decide that our experiences should be aligned more with this, not with that, because we have reached that level of consciousness. And that's where most antinatalists are operating from when they talk about antinatalism. They trust themselves so much that they are able to say, no, I don't feel like this is worth it. Even if people are gonna say that, yo, there's God, God created this, and this is blasphemy. You cannot say this is not worth it, because you didn't create this. God created this, and He's gonna punish you for saying this about what He has created. Antinatalists are actually standing up for themselves and saying, no, it's still not worth it. Even if something else created, it doesn't mean that it's worth it. I trust myself enough to decide whether it's worth it or not. I'm the one who should decide, not the not God Himself. If there was a God, it wouldn't be a God that has to decide whether it's worth it for me or not. I'm the one who decides because I am conscious. Do you understand what being conscious really means? I think we're taking this for granted. The fact that you are self-aware. I feel like human beings take this for granted. Do you really stop and think what it really means to be self-aware? Guys, I'm serious. Like, do you really stop and think what it really means? That you are actually conscious. You actually know that you exist. Shouldn't that make you a god? You wanna know what I believe? I believe that consciousness cannot be created. I don't believe there's anything that can create awareness. I believe that consciousness is all that exists. But I'll talk about it on another video, because this is a very complicated idea. I need to break it down and really explain to people. But you have to treat yourself like a god. You have to trust yourself. Yeah, it's very, very important to be yourself, to truly embrace your philosophy. And that's why I'm saying antinatalists are on the last stage of spiral dynamics, because they're embracing their philosophies. They're literally going against nature. They're literally going against God. They're literally going against everyone and saying, no, fuck everything. This shit is not worth it. That's what we believe, and that's it. Do you understand that many people believe that we must have children? They believe that they must have children. They believe that everyone must have children if they can have children. That's what every human being has been programmed to believe. So to actually rise above that, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. You must be having a brain that is fully developed to really see the world from that perspective. It's not easy to get there. Sometimes I look at myself when I was young. I think about how I used to think when I was younger. And I realized that if the older me, or this vision of me, met my younger self and told him that you're gonna become an antinatalist one day, or you're not gonna want to have children one day, you're just gonna decide that you don't want to have children, and you're gonna actually decide that everyone must not have children because it's wrong, I wouldn't believe that shit. I would actually laugh at this vision of me. Like, damn, what the fuck? How stupid are you, man? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would actually laugh at myself. To really go from that to this, it takes a lot. You literally have to have seen a lot. You actually have to have really looked at things that people are not looking at, things that are not easy to look at. It's not easy to become an antinatalist. That is why people don't embrace this philosophy easily. People just look at you like you're crazy. But it's always funny that whenever I explain my position to people, they just don't know what to say. Just be like, they don't really say much. It's like they kind of agree because it's the truth, but they just don't know what to say. It's like telling someone that it is actually not okay to kill something for no reason. They know that that is the truth. Like, you know, it's the truth. Why kill it if it wants to exist? Why decide that it must die while it still wants to be conscious? They know that is the truth, but they they don't know how to not do that. They can't. It's not easy to live in truth. It's much easier to live in this, you know, illusion that we created for ourselves. And that's where most people are. We're not in touch with reality. I will talk a lot more on this topic because I think it's very important. I need to talk about other stages of spiral dynamics, uh, talk about how we can go from the stage that we're at as internalists to higher stages. The philosophy itself is on coral, which is the large stage of spiral dynamics, but I think most internalists are on stage green. Some are on stage yellow, but most of them are on stage green. They are mostly on stage green. They do sometimes go to stage coral, but they don't stay there. And I will explain what stage coral really is and what it's really about. I think that's also important. Thank you all, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Peace.